Okay, I think we are live. Let me check that quickly.
Sure.
Let me go to YouTube and just see if the live stream is working fine or not. Yeah, I think it's working. We have participants as well joined. We'll be expecting more participants in a couple seconds. So usually they take like 5 to 10 minutes usually. But before that, let's quickly start with the introduction part. Okay, all set. Hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome you all to Angular Hive Meetup group. And this is Uday. I'm going to be the host for this event today and also the meetup organizer of Angular Hive Meetup. And if you haven't joined our meetup group yet, I'm going to share the link in YouTube comments in next couple of minutes. Please take a look at our group and join the community. We already have like 1,000 Angular bees there, so we are a strong community. And also we have Aristides joined from Greece. He's going to share something interesting about how to electronify Angular app in today's talk. And yeah, I'm really happy to see you all this evening. So we are going to learn something new in Angular. And on top of that, so we just introduced about ourselves. We just want to know about our audience as well. So please introduce yourself. Just let us know your name, the city you joined from, and your interesting Angular topics. So like which topic you are favorite of in Angular. Okay, so just post that in our YouTube live comments, and we will take a look and we will read out something if we found interesting. Okay, so that's a quick introduction. And so before I pass the control to Aristides to get started with our talk, so I just want to let you know we have a Raffle event after Aristides' talk, where we will spin the wheel and pick like 3 winners, and they are going to get a Udemy course of worth 500 rupees. Okay, so that is going to be sponsored by our Angular Hive meetup group itself. So just stick with the event, and I will pass more details in the next couple minutes. So just watch the video, so you will find the details in the bottom of the live stream coming up. And if you have any questions and if you want to share something, you are welcome to do that in YouTube live comments. And you also ask question if you have on the talk that Aristides is going to present. He will answer it at the end of the session. Okay, so all set. So as I mentioned before, just introduce yourself in the live comments. And over to you, Aristides. And thank you again for joining with us.
Thank you, Uday. I'm very happy to be here. I was looking forward to talk to your meetup. So let me share my screen to get started.
Yep, sure. Yep, I can see it. Let me put it in stream.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
All right. Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
No problem. Yeah, I'll be available here just in case if you need something.
Thank you for all you did.
Just call me. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
So, hello everyone. My name is Aristides Bampakos, but you can call me Aris because it is much shorter and it is easier for people that are not Greeks. I live in Greece, and today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that I love so much and I have very passion about it, which is how to electronify your Angular application. Or in other words, how to run your Angular application in desktop mode with Electron. So our today's agenda is I will show you a very brief introduction about Electron framework and some of the basics concepts. Then I will show you 2 ways how to integrate Electron framework inside Angular. The first way, which is the most difficult, demands more manual coding and configuration from the developer side, And the second one, which is the easiest way, is by using a library that I have created. So let's get started. I work as a front-end web developer at a company called PlexEarth, and I'm a Google developer expert for the Angular framework. Also here in Greece, I co-organize a meetup like the Angular Hive, which is called Angular Athens. And also I work as a senior Angular instructor at CodeHub, an educational institute where we teach the Angular framework to other developers and professionals. Also, I'm a very huge fan of the Assassin's Creed game. As you can see also from my t-shirt, if you can see it, I really love this game, but unfortunately, the last 2 years, I don't have so much time to play my favorite game because I was authoring books for packed publications. My first book was officially released last year, and it is this one, which is called Learning Angular 3rd Edition. It is a book that is destined for beginners to the Angular framework, and it guides you how to create a new Angular application using the Angular CLI from scratch up to deploy it to a host server. A bonus chapter in this book is the last one that showcases how to create a real-world Angular application with all the knowledge that you have acquired through the chapters. This book is available online to buy it from the Amazon web store and from the Pact website. And I'm currently waiting for my new book to be released, which is called Angular Projects, 2nd edition. It is a book that is destined for intermediate Angular developers, and it helps you, it teaches you how to build Angular applications using 10 different technologies. For example, there is a chapter that teaches you how to create an Angular desktop application with Electron. Another one, how to build an Ionic application with Angular. There is also how to build a PWA application or a server-side render application, and much, much more. So each chapter is a different project that you can build with Angular. This book is available to pre-order from the Amazon web store currently. I have put a link in this slide so that you can express, it redirects you to a Google form where you can enter your email and express your interest to this book, and you will be notified when it is available for buying it. Also have put a QR code for your convenience in case you can't remember this URL. So let's get started with the actual content of the talk. What is Electron or Electron.js? You will see it on the web with both names. It is a JavaScript framework that enables you to create desktop applications cross-platform. And when we say cross-platform, we mean for different operating systems, Windows, macOS, and Linux. And it is written with web technologies, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It is actually an NPM package, so you can install it using the normal npm install command and passing the Electron, the name of the package, which is Electron. But pay attention that we need to install it using the -d option because Electron is part of the development dependencies of our project. It is not. It doesn't do anything during runtime. It is used only to package our application as a desktop one. Electron is built with Electron is built with Node.js and Chromium, and actually it contains a version of both inside it. So you may notice that Electron applications are a bit large in the magnitude of megabytes. The main advantage of Electron applications is that you can leverage your existing web skills and create desktop applications without learning a new desktop language, for example, C# or C++. There are many popular applications out there that are built with Electron. For example, Visual Studio Code, of course, Slack, Microsoft Teams, or WhatsApp. If you go to the website that I have put a link in the last slide of Electron, you will see a large list of applications that are built with Electron. And trust me, you don't even realize that it was an Electron application. Let's talk a bit about the architecture of an Electron application, right? It consists of two different processes. The first one is the main process, which is concerned more with your file, with your local system, the resources of your system. It is used for making heavy tasks and calculations, for example, when you want to interact with the file system. And it is this process that provides access to the native resources of your computer using the API of Node.js. For example, you have available the FS library, the crypto library. All libraries that are available in Node.js are also can also be used in Electron through the main process. The render process, which is the second main process of an Electron application, is mainly concerned with the user interface of your application. Let's say that it is an HTML file. Usually it is the index.html file of an application. Now, an Electron application follows the Chromium multiprocess architecture. So in each Electron application, you can have only one main process that can communicate with different render processes. But notice that each render process operates in complete isolation. So if you want to communicate from one renderer to another, you need to go through the main process. Right, we saw the architecture of Electron. Let's see how we write an Electron application. Usually it is just a JavaScript file, and we usually call it main.js from the Node.js applications. So when we want to create an Electron application, first we need to import two artifacts from the Electron npm package, the app object and the browser window object. The app object is a global object of our Electron application. You can think of it as our browser. And the browser window object is the window that is loaded inside our Electron application. You can think of it as the tab of the browser. So it is obvious that similarly to a browser that has many tabs, an app object can have one or many browser windows. So first, after we import these two artifacts, we use the browser window constructor and we pass a set of options. Here in this snippet, for the sake of simplicity, we define the size of the window by passing the width and the height property. There are many options that you can pass in there. You can go to the website and check it out. After you have created the browser window, you use the load file method and pass the HTML file that you want to load inside the window. Usually, this is your main HTML file, the index.html file. The construction of the browser window, we usually wrap it inside a create window function that must be called only when the when ready promise of the app object has been resolved, because we need to make sure that our app is ready before we can create windows. So we wrote the Electron code. How do we run it? We open our terminal and we use the Electron npm executable.
Sorry to interrupt, Aristides. Looks like you are not audible. So that's what
I'm not audible.
Yeah, that's what our audience is saying. How about now, everyone?
Oh, wow.
Hey, Raghavan, can you check now?
You're
able to hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you well.
Yeah, I can see you and I can hear you as well.
Was this from the start? The problem was from the start or in the middle? We don't know. Maybe the audience.
Okay, looks like audible. Okay, it looks like the issue is with, a single person. Okay, you carry on, Aristides. No issues.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, no problem.
So we use the Electron npm executable and pass the path of the main.js file that we created as a parameter. And then our Electron desktop application will appear on the screen, and it will have rendered our index.html file inside the window. Right. So let's stand a bit back and take a high-level overview of an Electron application. You know, it's summer, and on summer it's very hot. So what do we eat when it's very hot? We can eat an ice cream. I really love ice cream, especially on summer. So when I want to think about a software problem or a software concept or a coding concept, I really like to mimic it as an ice cream. So in our case, the bottom of the ice cream is our main process. And when we put the topping of the ice cream, which is our application assets, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, then we have an ice cream. No, we don't have an ice cream. We have an Electron application, right? So this is the default flavor of our ice cream, thus Electron application. What's going to happen if we choose another flavor in our ice cream, like Angular? Well, things are a bit more different there, because the build pipeline that we need to integrate in our workflow is a bit difficult and different. So if you have an Angular application and you want to integrate it with Electron, you have actually two code bases, the Angular and the Electron. First, you take the Electron code base, in our case the main.js, and pass it through the Webpack bundler if you want. That's not necessary. And then you can export your main.js as an output file called shell.js. We like to call it shell.js because it is the shell of our application, of our Angular application. At the same time, we take the Angular code and we pass it through the Angular CLI, and the Angular CLI, of course, outputs our bundle as main.js. Now, both files are copied inside the dist folder of the Angular CLI project. Then we can use the Electron npm executable and pass the shell.js as a parameter to run our application. And with this command, we will have an Electron application that it will have load our Angular code inside the Electron window. Why? Because the shell.js, which is the main.js of Electron, loads the index.html file of our Angular application. You get it, right? That's why we put them in the same folder, so that the shell.js can find the index.html file of the Angular application. Right. So this is one approach that you can load an application inside the Electron window with the load file method. An alternative is the URL-based, which is very popular. In this case, the code is similar to the previous one, but instead of using the load file method, we use the load URL method and pass the URL of the web server that hosts our Angular application. In this case, it is localhost 4200. You can put your production web server that hosts your Angular application, and in this case, you will have an Electron application that loads your deployed Angular application on the web. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. These two approaches, of course, have differences. The file approach is more secure because you load an HTML file from your local file system, right? It is a local file, so there's no security problems there. But it is more complex to deploy, as we saw, because you need to make a unified build. You need to build the Angular code and the Electron code together and put them in the same folder. Thus, it is difficult to update, because if you want to do a change in one of the code bases, you need to build both of them and deploy them. In the URL approach, it has potential security issues because you are actually loading a URL inside your Electron window. So if it is an evil URL, you will have problems. But it is more simple to deploy because you build both code bases separately. You build the Angular application and the Electron application separately from each other. And for example, obviously it is easier to update because if you want to make a change in your Angular code, you make the change, you build it, you deploy it to your web server, and then your Electron application doesn't need to do anything because it loads the specified URL, right? So these are the two differences of the file versus the URL approach. We have already said that we have two processes, the main and the renderer. How we can communicate between them in a hybrid approach? When I say hybrid, think of Angular and Electron. So there is a mechanism which is called inter-process communication, or IPC mechanism, that allows both processes to communicate asynchronously by exchanging messages through a common unique channel. So we use two interfaces, the IPC main, which we usually write in the Electron part, in the Electron code base, and the IPC renderer that we write in the Electron code base. Let's see a sample of the code for both interfaces. For the main renderer, this is exactly the same main.js that we used before. Additionally, the main difference is that we import IPC main now interface from the Electron npm package, and down in the code, you can see that we call the handle method of the IPC main, and we pass two parameters. The first parameter is the name of the common channel, in this case, pirates. And the second parameter is an arrow function that will be called when someone sends something to the pirates channel or triggers the pirates channel. So in this case, when someone communicates through the pirate channel, it will return a list of pirate names. You may also have noticed that our browser window constructor is a bit different. And what I mean is that additional to the width and the height, we also set the node integration property to true inside the web preferences object. This is required because we need to access the Node.js API inside the renderer process. In this case, in this demo, for the demo that I will show it to you, it is not obligatory to do it by yourself, right? Because it is not considered a good practice, to be honest. So this is the IPC main interface. The IPC renderer that we write in the Angular code, it is a standard Angular service, right? And we inject another service, which is called Electron service, inside the constructor. This Electron service is part of another library, which is called Ngx-electron. This library is a wrapper library over the Electron API. So we have created a method getPirates, and inside that method, we access the IPC renderer object from the Electron service, and we call the invoke method passing the same channel name that the main renderer has registered, which is, in our case, pirates. So the invoke method actually triggers the channel and sends a message to the main process, and the main process will respond with the list of pirate names. So this is how we can communicate between the two processes. Please pay also attention that, pay notice that the getPirates, the invoke method returns a promise-based interface. So the IPC communication mechanism that I'm talking about is promise-based. So you can normally use async await syntax in your applications. Right. So this was the first way for integrated Electron with Angular, which is a bit hard because you need to write a lot of code in either sides, right? I have put in the last slide in the resources a link to a GitHub repo of my profile that contains a sample of Angular and Electron integration with this way, the more difficult way. But there is another way, which is called Ngx-electronify. So this is a library, an Angular library that I have built that allows you to run your Angular CLI application with Electron with no code, just one single command. Actually, it is based on the Angular CLI Builder API, which is what I used to create it. All you have to do in an Angular CLI project or in an NX monorepo project is call execute the command ng-add ngx-electronify. Let's see a demo now. Yudai, can I share directly or do I need to stop the share and start it again?
I mean, you want to share
the code, Visual Studio Code, yeah.
Okay, I think you can stop it and
all right,
I mean, put your code editor on the stream again.
All right.
Yep. So if you just stream your entire window, so you can stream anything you want. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Let me adjust my window. Okay, so here I have created a new Angular CLI application with ng-new my app. Nothing fancy, just the ordinary scaffolding of Angular applications that we know. For example, if I run, come on, ng-serve, we can see the. Let me share my whole desktop now because I will need the browser. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Yudai. Didn't think
no issues. No issues.
Okay.
Okay, I can see your entire window. I'm going to put it on stream.
Cool. Okay, so I have now run ng-serve. Let's check out the application that we have. If I open my browser in HTTP localhost, you can see that it is an ordinary Angular application, nothing fancy. Okay, so now let me put this window aside. I will put this on the left, on the right. And I will make it smaller. I have already executed ng-add ngx-electronify in this project. So if you do it in your projects, you will see that in the angular.json, it has created this new architect entry, right? It is actually the command that the Angular CLI understands for running ngx-electronify. And if I run this architect now, I click here. Okay, now it goes to it actually hooks into the Angular, into the ng-serve workflow and tries to ng-serve our application, right? So let me kill it. Actually, I will kill all terminals. And first, I will run the ngx-electronify. Let's see. Now, the ngx-electronify hooks, as I told you, into the Angular CLI workflow, runs ng-serve, and then starts Electron and loads the served application inside the Electron. As you can see here, This is a desktop window. For example, we can have the toolbar buttons, minimize, maximize. We have a native menu here. This is the default menu of Electron. And this inside, it is a Chromium. So I can have Chrome DevTools integrated here. If I go to View, Toggle Developer Tools, I can inspect my application. Normally, as I would do in a browser, right? I have a console or the network. Everything that works in your browser is inside this Chromium window. Right. Let me show you something cool now with this Electronify, all right? I will run it once more. Actually, with Ngx-electronify, your Angular application now looks more native than before. It looks like a desktop application because you have a window that you can move it, right? It feels like desktop. Now, if I open my browser, let me open my browser now, and go to localhost 4200, I can see the same. Let me put them together. I can see the same application. On the left, it's the desktop application. On the right is the browser version. If I go to my code base and make a change, for example, I change the title to Angular Hive Rocks, right? And save, it rebuilds my application. And if you see, it has been updated in the browser version, and it also has been updated into the desktop version. Cool, right? Because actually they're serving the same application, that's why. So you can use Ngx-electronify to test your application also for the desktop and for medium and size screens and all stuff like this. Right. As I said, it supports Angular CLI projects and NX monorepo projects, and you can also pass when you add the Ngx-electronify into your application, you can pass for which project you want. For example, if you have an NX monorepo and you have 3 projects, you can say that I want to add Ngx-electronify into the second project. Right. So I'm now going to switch to my slides. Okay, let me do that. Share. Where is it?
I think you need to share it once again.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I lost my my screen. No, I lost my setup here in the screen. So hold on a minute. Sorry about that.
No problem. Take your time.
Okay. Okay, I shared it.
Yep. I just put it on screen. Yep.
Thanks very much. So,
no problem.
That was the Ngx-electronify that I was talking about. It's actually an easier way to integrate Angular with Electron. For example, it doesn't have all the capabilities that you would like. For example, you can't run custom code in both code bases, but in the next version, I would like ideally to implement the following. First, to give the developer the possibility to export the Angular application as the Angular and Electron application as a single executable file, because now, as you can see, it works only with ngserve. I mean during development. But one of the features would be to export the desktop application as a single executable file so that you can take it with you and publish it, upload it to a hosting server, send it through email, or sharing in any way that you can imagine. The second is to integrate Angular dev tools inside the Ngx-electronify. Angular dev tools, if you don't know, is a new tool that the Angular team has released and allows you. It is a Chrome extension that allows you to debug and profile your Angular applications. Full stop. This. And the third one would be to allow the developer write custom code to interact with the Electron API, as in the first case that I show you, the difficult case. So I want to give them the opportunity to write custom code into the Electron side and go to the Angular side and have the ability to communicate between the two, because now it is only for preview and Angular application. Some things about security. You must always remember that an Electron application is not a browser, but behaves like it, right? Because we may see a desktop application, but inside it there is an HTML page. So every security problem that exists in HTML and generally web applications exists also in the Electron. So we must be very careful. Electron is not a browser. A browser like Chrome or Edge have many engineers that have worked to patch it with many security fixes. Electron does not have any security fix at all. Why should someone use Electron generally? This is a question that they ask me all the time. I have found three use cases. The first one is if you want to emulate a multi-tab or a multi-window environment inside your Angular application. The second is if you want your Angular application to have a native look and feel, to have the maximize, minimize, the toolbar buttons, to have a native menu and stuff like that. And third, if you have an existing desktop application and you want to create a tool as a companion to this application so that you can distribute it all together. In the last slide, I have put some links that I think will be helpful for you. The first two are the Electron website and a quick start guide from the Electron website, how to get started with Electron. The other two are concerned about security. The first one is a curated list of best practices from the Electron website. And the second one is a podcast that I did in the WebRush podcast with John Papa some time ago about how to secure Electron applications. And finally, I have put three links. The first one is the Ngx-electronify, my library that I demoed to you today. The second one is an advanced sample of Angular and Electron integration, the first way that I explained it to you. And the third one is the wrapper library that I used to communicate between the main and the renderer process, which is the Ngx-electron. So that was the end. What we see today, we see an introduction to the Electron.js framework, some of the basics, the architecture, and then we saw two different ways for interacting an Angular with an Angular application with Electron. The hard way, which is the difficult, and the manual way, and the easy way by using the Ngx-electronify. So thank you all for attending my talk, and I would be very happy to answer any questions that you may have. Back to you, Uday.
Yep. Thank you, Aristides. That was very interesting. So you just converted Angular app into a desktop app. I mean, that's a great thing. Okay. So back to the questions. Audience, just post your questions in YouTube live comments. I will read out the question and Aristides can answer that. So I think we got a first question here, Aristides. I'm going to put that on stream. You can read it out. Is Electron a JavaScript binding?
I don't understand what is the JavaScript binding. If the attendee can elaborate a bit, do you have any idea, Yudai, what it means?
I think he's trying to ask whether it is, whether Electron is framework is bind with the JavaScript. So that's what his question is. Obviously,
right,
it is, right?
Yeah. I would say it is more a Node.js binding because it implements all the available API of Node.js. So if you are a Node.js developer, you will not have problem writing Electron applications. But also, if you are a TypeScript developer, if you want to write in TypeScript, of course you can write your Electron code with TypeScript. This is what I do in the company that I work for. We write it in TypeScript and we transpile it and bundle it through with Webpack.
Okay. Actually, this is what is a question on top of the question what he asked. How Electron helped to do IPC, inter-process communication. So that was he was about to ask about with JavaScript binding.
Right. Actually, Electron has its own mechanism, right? The IPC mechanism, which is to communicate asynchronously with events. So I'm in the render process and I want to send a message to the main process. So I need to access the renderer interface and send a message to the main process. The main process will catch the message and will respond to me. The key in this communication is to have a single communication channel. I mean, the problem that the developer will have is how to architecture their channels. For example, you can create a channel and we can call it Hive, right? And when you want to create a bee, you can say Hive and pass the bee, right? And the main process will respond. But you can architect your channel by having separate methods for each one. For example, you can have a channel setB. You can have a channel getB, right? You get it?
Yeah. So I got it. How about Saranan? Do you still have any question? Please post it. I'll go through the other questions in the meantime. So this is a question from Raghavan. Is there any
performance node. The only bottleneck that you have is that you're actually creating a 100 megabytes desktop application to host some kilobytes that your Angular application is. For example, for this My App that I showed to you, the My App, the hello world in Angular is some kilobytes, right? I think it's 1.8 or 2 kilobytes. When you export it, when you host it as an Electron application, the resulting executable file is 200 megabytes. So this is one of the major problems, the size.
Got it.
Performance bottlenecks. I don't know if there is any. I haven't noticed anything, and I can tell you that we use Angular and Electron for the mapping industry, for maps, and which is an industry. It is an area that is difficult because maps. You have WebGL and stuff like that requires a lot of good performance. So I haven't noticed anything problem there. Everything works smooth.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's move on to the next one quickly. So I just put it on stream.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you can use ArcJS string. You can wrap your promise, the promise-based function of IPC main and IPC renderer to ArcJS. I think there is a method of ArcJS that converts a promise-based call to an observable-based call. I think it's called from promise. Yeah, not for promise. I don't remember how it's called, but you can wrap your communication methods as ArcJS.
Got it. Okay. So what should you know before learning Electron? So that's a good question. Even I had. I think we need to have a good, Node.js knowledge, right?
That's correct, Judah. Yeah, Node.js would suffice because everything else is just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Your application you can write your application in vanilla JavaScript, no problem. All you have to know is the Node.js interface. For example, I have extensively used the FS package, the crypto package. What else? The path package from Node.js. And if you have a large application, you need to pay attention on how you will structure it, because you will not have only one main.js file. You will have many JS files. So maybe you would like to use JavaScript modules.
Got it. Okay, I think we are getting more questions. Okay, looks like the topic is very interesting. So people are.
I will stop answering. I will stop answering so that.
Yeah. So this is another question from Raghavan. So he's saying, I have been happily running Angular app. So he's asking, like, what is the best case of using Electron? So why we need to go with Electron when we already have a web app? Any use case?
Yeah, just before the Google I/O, I would say that the best use case would be when you want to make a file system interaction. For example, open files, write files, save files. But Google has created a new initiative which is called Project Fugu, that gives progressive web applications the capability of interacting with the file system. So this will be a game changer for the desktop industry, because previously progressive web applications didn't have this ability, and that was the best case to use Electron. That is the case that we used Electron in our company.
Okay. So I also want to add a couple of things on this. We already, not we in the sense, not me, in software industry, Angular is used for, like desktop applications. I remember hearing someone saying that Angular is used in Microsoft Teams, the desktop app, what we use, right? So it's based on Angular. Even though we see all the controls, something like a native Windows control, but they are not. Basically, they are Angular app. Yeah. Okay. So
actually, I would like to say a statement. Angular, we say Angular that is cross-platform, right? It isn't it isn't Angular that is cross-platform, but the community that enables it to become cross-platform. I mean, we say that it can run on mobile, with Ionic and native script. It can run on server with Angular Universal. So Angular by itself is not cross-platform. It's the community that makes this enabling.
Understood. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Is it possible to create a shortcut in desktop using Electron? See, like usually we have desktop shortcuts for applications, right? For MS Word or MS PowerPoint. So he's asking whether we can create a shortcut like that.
I know that you can create a shortcut for your Electron application. I don't know if you can for other desktop applications.
Got it. Thanks for answering that. And we have Harmanpreet here. So he posted a question, why one should go for Electron over PWA? So what is the real catch here? Yeah, this is a great question.
Yeah. I would say for the three reasons that I mentioned also in my slide. First, if you want your application to be truly native, to have the menu, the native menu of the applications, of the native applications, file, edit. If you want to have the toolbar on the right, for Windows it's right, for Mac I think it's on the left, with the minimize and maximize buttons. Also, there is a case that you may want to have multiple tabs inside an Electron application, inside your application, or multi-windows. Maybe you are creating a dashboard and you want to have in your page different Electron windows for each widget of your dashboard. And finally, if you have a desktop application, like for example a .NET application, and you want to create a tool for this application, a companion tool, and your team is all Angular developers, what should you do? Would you tell to Angular developers, okay, go learn C#? No. You will tell them, as we did, learn Electron, write the application in Angular, and we will create an Electron and Angular application that we will distribute together with the .NET desktop application. So it's more a matter of skills in your team.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey Ramesh, thanks for joining. So here is his question. So he is asking something related to memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't researched more in the memory consumption area of Electron, but I can say that some years ago, Slack was written in Electron, and they had some memory issues.
Mm-hmm.
Memory issues are concerned not with the framework that you use, but with the way that you create your application. So you need to pay attention on how you will architect your application. I guess that Slack didn't, when they changed their way that when they changed the architecture of their application and write it in a different way, there were no problems.
Okay. Cool. Okay, and quick announcement, like before we move on to next questions, we have a raffle event coming up. I already posted a tweet on Angular Hive Twitter account. So I just posted that link as well in the YouTube comments. I just pinned it. Just share, repeat that tweet to participate in the contest for the raffle event. And you can come back and pour in more questions. Okay. Yeah, let's move on to the next question.
Wow, there is a lot of questions. I haven't answered so many questions about Electron before.
Yeah, looks like people are having more interest on this.
Yeah, that's good.
So what about native notifications in Electron? Is it available for all operating systems?
Yeah, right now they have support for all systems, but they are implemented differently in each operating system. So you need to import different things, detect which operating system you're actually running, and then use the appropriate constructor or interface or class generally.
Okay. Okay. We have another question from Aditya. So Aditya was the speaker in last event. Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest challenge that you came across when working with Angular and Electron?
Biggest challenge, right?
Again, a challenging question.
Yeah. Actually, the biggest challenge was the application that we have built in the company that I work that is with Angular Electron. It is actually an application that you can create custom maps. Okay, so you can put Google. You have a map. You want to create a map that has Google Maps, Bing Maps, and the map of maybe Mumbai. right, up on top of it. So you create different layers of maps, and you have created a custom map. So this custom map must then be imported into AutoCAD. AutoCAD is a very powerful
Drawing.
CAD software, drawing tool.
Yeah.
So the main challenge was, how would I communicate from the Electron application with AutoCAD? We took a lot of approaches in this problem. The first one was to use Signal R. So we create the Electron application, sends the map to Signal R, Microsoft Signal R, and the AutoCAD would fetch it from there. But we had a round trip delay because of we were in the same machine, but we need to go to the web to communicate. So we ditched it. We forget about that. The second was to use a framework that was called Akka, and it was based on an actor. It is an actor-based framework. We used that, and Akka actually allowed us to run C#.NET code inside Node.js, actually inside Electron. It worked, but it didn't have so much support in the open source project, so we forgot it. And finally, we choose a solution of pure files. So the Electron application saves the file in the file system, and the AutoCAD was polling the folder, and when it detected the file, it was reading it. That was the biggest challenge: how to communicate from an Electron application to another desktop application. I have already asked also in the Google I/O event, but I didn't get any answer. I guess they want to find a way to implement something similar in PWAs. If they do it, that would be great.
Yeah. Thanks for answering, and thanks for asking the question.
Yeah. It was great.
And I think this is from Rahul. This is not a question. So he just explained we use Electron for this desktop app. So he just shares his experience, I believe.
Oh, right. Yeah, Electron is big in gaming. Yeah, and also there is a trend rising up for the Electron applications. I heard yesterday that Loom is a video capture software. They are looking for Electron engineers. So Electron I think it's a technology that will not compete with PWA, but they will go together, side by side.
Got it. But PWA is also gaining the momentum. So we can access mobile devices, functionalities like Bluetooth, everything.
Yeah.
And okay. So he also mentioned Discord, Slack, or based on Electron app. That's cool.
Also, you mentioned before Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is an Electron application that is written in AngularJS.
Oh, cool. So when they are going to migrate,
if they see your video to this video, I think they will go to migrate it after.
Cool. Okay, so how to handle file handling? I think you already explained, right? So Signal or even some cloud services.
Yeah, or use the FS Node.js API, the FS package from Node.js. I mean, what we did, the Angular application, in our case specifically, I will tell you more details. In the Angular application, we create an image, right? And we communicate to the Electron code with the IPC main, with the IPC communications that I showed you before. Okay, so the Angular part sends the image in bytes. The Electron code reads these bytes and recreates the image and saves it to the disk.
Got it. So this is the same question like someone asked before, like what is the basic knowledge or what are the technologies we need to know to get started with Electron? I think that's Node.js, right? As you mentioned before.
Node.js and some open source community projects that will give more capabilities to your Electron application. For example, there is a library for logging There is a library for cryptographic. All are open source, and there is a very rich variety.
Got it. Okay. So Gaurang mentioned very good solution. I think he mentioned it for the AutoCAD thing, what you were explaining.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurang.
Yeah, I think that's all we have. So any more questions you have, like before we move on to the next section of this event? You can even touch base with Aristides. He's available on Twitter. I think I already shared his Twitter handle. Let me put it again on screen. So he's available on Abam Pacos.
Yeah, correct.
Did I read it correctly?
Yeah. That's fine. Okay. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Aristides Bampakos, with my full name, if you want to connect. I'm pretty active in the LinkedIn also.
Cool. And thank you so much, Aristides. And yeah, so you got some appreciation as well from our audience. So thanks for
your
answers. Yeah. Thanks once again for taking your time and sharing the wonderful thing on Angular, like how to convert the Angular app into desktop app. So that was really interesting. So let's do similar session in future as well.
Sure.
On a different topic. Yeah.
It would be very interesting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Idai. Thanks very much for this. Bye.
Yeah, you are welcome. Thank you. Bye. So moving on to the next section. So let me share my screen. I think we have a very less retweets. Maybe we have to do it as a different thing. So let me share my screen before that. So I just want you to retweet this tweet to participate in Raffle event. So you can find this link, the tweet link in the pinned comment in YouTube live comments. So you can just retweet the tweet just to enter this contest. Okay. So I'm going to use a wheel of names. So this will pull all the names from Twitter who retweeted the tweet, and we are going to spin the wheel from there. Okay. So I'm planning to choose 3 winners for Udemy course of worth 500 rupees. But looks like we have very less retweets. Maybe I think we can wait for a couple more hours. So how many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So only 30. I mean, so 30% of the people will get. I mean, will get picked, right? So that's not good. What do you say? Maybe we can wait for a day. Let's see if other people repeat it. Okay, or we can go ahead. Okay, I think I don't want to postpone it anyway. So let's go ahead with the spin wheel. But before I do it, just make sure you retweeted the tweet. I'm posting the retweet once again. Retweet this tweet to enter the contest. I just shared the comment once again. So let me go ahead and spin the wheel. Maybe I can wait for another a minute, so that if anyone is going to join. Okay. And thanks for your comments, folks. So that actually motivates me to do a lot for our community. And we reached 1,000 members today, and like 1,000 Angular bees. That's what I call. So we started this community a year back during last year when the pandemic was just the beginning, right? So we are used to it now. So we started I started that Meetup group last year during April, I believe. Okay, so it's almost 1 year now. So I'm happily doing the work for the community, and the feedback is also awesome from our community members. So if you are not part of our community yet, please join Angular Hive Meetup group. And also, if you want to share something to our community in terms of talk, workshop, or something, let me know. We can do it together. Okay, it's time to pull the members, and I'm going to do it from import Twitter users. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put this command or something, whatever we say, and it's going to be from Angular Hive. It's from Angular Hive, and for the retweet with hashtag Ngx-electronify 1000 contest. Okay. So I'm going to pull the users or the Twitter users who just retweeted the tweet. Okay, it shows only 3, but I see many. But I see many retweets here. So let me enter it directly, not an issue. Sendel just bear with me for the delay. Looks like it's not pulling the correct data. So we have Gaurang. Maybe we need to invent something. Harmanpreet. And Karthik. Okay, I removed Ramesh from here. Just put it as just Ramesh. Yeah. I hate manual work, but what to do? So okay, I see 12 retweets here. So the new B is Hahi. Hahi Sendil Saravana. And Gaurang, Sai, Harmanpreet, Karthik, Ramesh, Ritya. Okay. Even though it says like 12, but I see like only 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 people here. Maybe those 2 retweets are from bots or something. Okay, let's begin. I'm going to spin this wheel. Thanks for sticking with us. So it has to be manual because it didn't pull the Twitter users correctly for some reason. So let me spin this wheel and see who is the first winner. Okay, it is Harmanpreet. Congrats, Harmanpreet. Just taking the screenshots just in case if I want to tweet about it, I can use it. Okay, let's move on to the next winner. I remove Harmanpreet from the spin wheel. So the next winner okay, it's Ahi. Awesome, congratulations, Ahi. I think you retweeted very recently. Okay, let's move on to the third winner. Okay, it's going to be Sai. Congratulations, Sai. Yeah, so we picked 3 winners. Please reach out me on Twitter direct message. I will share you the coupon code for Udemy course, and I'll take your input as well, like which course you are willing to, and that should be in the range 500 rupees. Okay. And thank you so much, everyone. I think we are almost done with the event. And if you have anything to share, please let me know in a Twitter DM. So my DMs are always open, like for any suggestions, feedback, or if you want to say something about this event, please do it. So I'm happily looking for it. Okay. So that's all. So have a great evening. I think it's raining here in the place where I live. Already. So thanks everyone, and have a great rest of the day. And thanks for joining again. Okay. And let me go ahead and close the stream.